Hello, and welcome to the Secrets of Happily Ever After podcast. I'm your host, Monica Tanner, and today I have a really, really special treat. Not only do I have guests, but they are my oldest son, Jake, and his beautiful wife, Livvy. I am so excited to have them on the podcast today, basically because tomorrow, bad marriage advice. Debunking myths that will make you miserable and what to do instead launches out into the world. And I wrote this book for these two and for anyone else who wants to make their marriage amazing. And so I thought it would be really fun on the eve of the big launch to bring them in, to ask them questions, to find out their thoughts about being newly married, what they thought of the book, and all kinds of other fun and interesting questions. So consider this an interview of a mom and her son and daughter-in-law. So welcome to the podcast, Jake and Livvy. How are you guys doing?
Good. We're
Great.
happy to be here. It's kind of fun. I had a podcast forever ago, and now I'm finally getting to have my
It's your
own
moment.
podcast.
That's right. That's right. If you really want a good laugh, you can go listen to my 6-year-old son, Ike, on the podcast many years ago. He has some pretty good episodes.
So they are fine.
So, Jake, I'm loving your t-shirt. Can you tell us what it says?
I forgot I was wearing this. This is pretty fitting for the podcast. Happiest fresh made husband on earth.
What does that
Uh,
mean, fresh made?
It's kind
That's
of
what
a,
I was wondering.
the fresh made part, when Livy ordered the shirt, it didn't have that on it, but it
Just
just,
to say happiest husband on earth.
but fresh made like newlywed, I'm guessing.
Yeah, let's go with that.
But when Livy asked me, well, I can't remember, something about being the best husband in the world, and I said, well, I might not be the best, but I sure am the happiest husband in the world. So then she got me this for my birthday.
Oh, I love it. And it's pink. That's so fitting because pink is
The best
Livy's favorite color, right?
And my socks say, I love my wife.
Oh my gosh, you are so decked out. This is
It's
fantastic.
It's my Sunday fit.
I love it. So that just makes me really happy. All right. So let's introduce you guys to the listeners a little bit. How did you guys meet?
We met on our missions. So a couple years ago, we at least knew of each other while we were on our missions. We only talked a couple times, but after getting home, we kind of reconnected at a mission reunion. So since then, we became friends and then started dating. And yep, it's been a long but short amount of time.
When we first saw each other after the mission, she had a boyfriend, and so nothing really could happen there. But then she broke up with the boyfriend and invited a bunch of missionaries from our mission to her house for like a scripture study game night. And there we just became really good friends. And then I needed someone to take me to the airport at 3 a.m. in the morning. So I texted a group chat with that just so happened to have Livy in it, hoping she would respond. And she did after no one else responded to the group chat. No one wanted to take me. So I think she pitied me and took me.
That one actually was pity, but I was starting to like you.
And then when I got back from my trip, I texted her. I was like, well, I have to thank you for taking me to the airport at 3 a.m. So then we went out for breakfast. She invited me to her classes. I went to her classes because I liked her. And we watched a movie that night, hung out the next day. It was Halloween, hung out the whole day. And then, yeah, just started dating a couple days after that. So
I didn't realize the airport thing was so important to you. He always tells the story about the airport when people ask us, so it must have been pretty important.
It's a pretty good test if you're willing to wake up at 3 in the morning and take him to the airport. That's
Yeah, I guess so.
And at 3 a.m. in the morning, it looked like or 6 p.m. in the afternoon. It was like, I was actually baffled. Like it was 3 a.m. I looked like probably a pudgy chipmunk. And she looked like she had gotten ready for the day, and she hadn't. She had just put on a poncho and got in the car.
I might have been sleeping in the poncho.
She looked very pretty, and it was so early in the morning. So that was also cool.
I love that. Well, you two did fall very fast, which is fine. And I joke that you weren't even engaged long enough for me to publish the book because now you've been married for how long?
Almost 5 months.
Yeah, almost 5.
We're getting close. Okay, that's so awesome.
Really close.
So let's go back to when you guys decided you wanted to get married and you announced it to the world. Did you get any advice from anyone?
That's a good question because at first we didn't think we got that much advice. But then I realized that because you said we were going to get a lot of bad advice, I kind of blocked out a lot of the advice. But then going through my memories, we actually, yeah, we did get a pretty good amount of advice. We did get a lot of the classics like don't go to bed angry. I think I probably got a little bit more advice than it's. I think everyone thought Livvy was going to be a professional. So she doesn't remember a ton of the advice she got. But personally, I got don't go to bed angry. Happy wife, happy life was another big one I got. And then I think it was jokingly, but he said bottle up your emotions and yeah, kind of keep to yourself. But I think those were three that I got. I think the last one was more of a joke, but definitely advice that I got.
There's truth in everything people say.
Right.
So, what advice has proven to be good advice so far? Did anyone give you good advice?
People gave us good advice, I'm sure. I need to search back in my brain.
Mom, honestly, most of the good advice I remember is from you.
Aww. That's sweet.
There was definitely lots from you. My dad and mom. I remember my dad talking about this a lot growing up, and especially before we got married. And I know he talked to Jake about it when he asked permission or whatever the tradition is. But dad always says that if you have God first, your spouse second, that your marriage is going to be very happy and lasting. Having your priorities straight is very important. And that's proven to be very true to me. I mean, we've only been married a couple months, but I can tell that as long as I'm working hardest to be obedient and keep God as the center point of my life, and if Jake is doing the same thing, then we're going to have a happy home surrounding Jesus Christ.
I love that. I love that advice. I think that's awesome.
That's
advice.
definitely probably the most to me.
Okay, something that's really cool and not super common is that you guys both have parents that are happily married to each other for, your entire lives. And so I did kind of want to ask, what kinds of things did you learn maybe growing up, watching your parents, or impressions that you had from your parents or anything like that?
That's a great question. One of the things that I remember a lot is, I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but I feel like you guys didn't really try to hide a lot from us. Like all the romantic things you did were in front of us. Like we definitely saw you guys kissing. We definitely saw you guys like goofing around, but we also saw you guys have disagreements in front of us and everything like that. And I feel like that was very healthy, seeing you guys work through those things, but also showing the more romantic side, like not being afraid to show that in front of your kids too, is something that I want to do with our kids too. Yeah, just as a good, I feel like it's really healthy.
That's awesome. I think both of my parents have taught me over the years what a life full of service looks like. I can tell that they do both work hard for each other every day. It's like all they do. But also besides that, not only are they serving each other and serving us every day, but especially for my dad, I've seen a lot of, okay, I'm a really big priority to my dad, but my mom's a bigger priority than any of us, which I think is good. You have to be true to each other even more than to your kids, because having a successful marriage relationship is so important for kids to see. So I like that. Date night to my dad is more important than taking one of the kids out on a date, right? Even though obviously you need to spend time with your kids as well. But that's something that's impressed me through the years.
Yeah, definitely seen date nights a lot from you guys too. Date night is sacred date night, and we try to make date night sacred for us too. I know we're in the beginning, we don't have a ton of kids to take care of, but we still try to do that weekly too.
Oh, I love that. It's not often you get to hear from your adult married kids they gleaned or their impressions from your own marriage. So I love all of that. Like that makes me so happy that you guys picked up on those things that are important, right? Like Dad and I always strive to show you like a very clear picture of what a real marriage is like. You're right. We didn't try to hide things from you. We wanted to show you the good parts and the tough parts because you're going to encounter both. So I love that. And I love that, Livvy, that your parents serve and put each other before the kids. I just barely talked about that on social media, how important it is but I remember when I first somebody first told me that, and I thought that was really bad advice because I wasn't married yet. And I was like, no way, kids will need me. And, my spouse can take care of themselves. And why would I ever put my spouse before the kids, right? And then I got married and started, studying marriage. And I thought, oh, yeah, that is really important because you actually do your kids a huge disservice if they are a bigger priority than your spouse. So, but that was a hard lesson to learn and definitely one of those things that I love that was modeled for you. So, yeah, kudos to the parents of these kids. I think you guys are super set. My next question is like, did anything surprise you about being married? Like, did you think of something one way and now that you've been married for a little while, you're like, whoa, that was surprising.
Yeah, I definitely think there's been a fair amount of things like that. I feel like it's been pretty humbling, if I'm being like completely honest. A lot of things that I thought I was good at or considered myself good at, like have not, I mean, they've proven true, but not really. Like, this isn't like being mean at all, but like my patience has definitely been tested more. And I thought I was good. Like, I thought I was really good at communicating my feelings. But when I care so much about a person, it's definitely like feelings get hurt easier. Like, I didn't actually think I got my feelings hurt very easily. Like, I thought I was pretty thick skinned, but feelings get hurt a lot easier when I care so much about that person. And sometimes it's harder to express certain feelings and why they make me feel that way because I'm experiencing feelings that I've never experienced so it arouses a lot of feelings that I didn't have before, and I'm not as good as I thought at managing those feelings. So that's definitely been humbling. But yeah, learning how to communicate those has been a huge thing that I've been personally working on a lot that I didn't think I would have a problem with.
That's cool.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point right now, the things that's surprised me the most is that I feel like we've been married for so long. Like, I feel like it's been forever. And I feel like a totally different person than when we were dating, which is super weird because it's only been 4 or 5 months. But it feels like it's been a lifetime. Not like oh my gosh, this is going on forever, but like I just feel like it's all I know and it's all I want to know.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I think both of your thoughts kind of go into this idea that marriage is a people growing machine. Like there's no better way to grow like yourself and be able to see your blind spots and weaknesses than to have another person all the time that can see into your soul. Like, right? Like all the things that you thought you're hiding from everybody, the things you thought you were good at, you've got another person to just kind of mirror back to you and show you those parts of you that you maybe aren't so excited about.
Yeah, that's been definitely fun and interesting, but I love growth. So it actually has been a really good launch pad to grow more and to find my weaknesses and to grow from them. So
Yeah. And I think on the flip side of that too, you also have somebody who gets to experience all the joy and magic with, as well as somebody to, mourn with you and, experience like the tougher times. Like I think about, I mean, this is a small thing, but our basement flooded for the second time in a few months. And, that's like frustrating and annoying. And you just spent a whole bunch of money and it's hard work to clean out the mess that happens when the basement floods, but it's like we had a pal to do it with. So it's like you don't have to face the hardest stuff in life alone. You've got a pal who at least can like be there with you in the suck of life sometimes.
it's true. Yeah, starting our marriage off going out for the summer and selling in Minnesota was definitely I think it was a really cool and unique challenge because it was challenging. It was hard. Like this probably happens with a lot of people, but all we wanted to do was be around each other all day. But we both had to work for sometimes 10 hours a day doing something really, really hard and then getting back really late, not having time to really make dinner. And yeah, that was definitely a challenge. But getting back to Provo and having, you get home at 5 and it feels like we have a whole nother day ahead of us because we're not used to having that much time. So that's definitely been really, really fun. And it's made it a lot sweeter having a lot more time to spend together. So that's been really fun.
That's cool. And making a home together. I've loved watching you guys do that too.
Yeah, that's been also really fun.
It's making it your own. Is there anything you wish you had known before you got married or like something that you feel like could have prepared you better for this or?
Honestly, on that one, I didn't really.
This was when we had trouble coming up with an answer. We were reading through the questions.
Yeah, honestly, it's been kind of fun to. It doesn't feel like we're learning it on our own because we've been told a lot of this stuff like was going to happen beforehand. But it has been really fun to kind of just experience it. Like, there's no best way to prepare in my thinking. Like, it's kind of just one of those things where you prepare all you can do. Something that was really helpful in preparing to get married is we studied a lot of books together. Like, we read, one of the books we read was How to Talk to Kids So Kids Will Listen, and How to Listen So Kids Will Talk.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which was a really good book to read together because not only were we learning, but we were also discussing about it. So we were learning the different ways we would prefer to parent and we would like to parent. So we had really, really good discussions. I got to get a really good picture of how Livvy wants to parent and the different things we want to do when we are parents. But also I learned some really like deeply rooted beliefs of Livvy, like one of them being learning and teaching are some of the two most like godly things we can do, and Livvy feels really passionate about that. So that was really cool to learn too, which I think prepared us a ton for being married. Another one we learned was more about like intimacy and how to live a healthy, intimate life. I can't remember the name of the book.
Yeah, I don't remember either. It was about sexual intimacy, though, which was really, I don't really know what your audience is for this podcast, but for a lot of Christians who don't have sex before marriage, that was a really important one because we learned a lot of things from a good source together at the same time. This is after we were engaged. We studied this book, and we read another one that was a little less applicable to marriage, though. But yeah, those were really good for us.
Yeah, reading and studying together, that's awesome. Just kind of trying to figure out what your values will be, your core family values. I love it. What do you guys think about my book?
Yeah, we've been studying that one together since being married. We read it like to each other when we're driving places or find some good times. It's been really fun.
Yeah, there's been lots. Can you give us a couple of the like first maybe 5 chapter headings so like to jog my memory? Because I don't want to like I'm mixing like stuff I've heard on your podcasts, I think, and also stuff we've read to each other in the books.
Oh yeah.
So I just want to remember what's
For sure.
specifically from the book.
Yeah, actually, I think that
We
would
should
be
have
super
brought
fun.
it.
Let's go through the first, because I assume you've kind of at least looked through the first 5 chapters. So, like, the first one is find somebody to complete you. What do you guys think about that advice? Because I think it's not necessarily something that people say out loud all the time, but it's kind of in our culture, like movies and Hollywood, like, you want to find your other half, your missing piece. People say all the time, like, my better half, my other half, my better half. They think of each other as halves of a whole. So, what do you think about that in your long-term
I had
experience?
never, before reading that chapter, I hadn't really thought about that in such literal terms. But reading it and being like, oh, that makes so much sense. Obviously, I have to be my own person and then grow together with Jake. He's not like necessarily a part of me, but we're two people who have similar goals and want to work together to achieve our dreams, right? That feels like such a healthier way to look at our marriage. So I thought that was a super awesome chapter.
Mm-hmm. Something I found really attractive about Livvy was that she had a backbone. Like she has her opinions and she knows how to like articulate those in a conversation. And if I say my opinion and it doesn't jive with hers, she's not just going to be like, "Oh, yeah, no, that's true." Like she's going to give her side. So yeah, I personally think that's really attractive when like she holds her ground and stuff like that, but then also is willing to, learn and be better. Like it's not a stubborn thing, but it's like has a backbone is definitely a big, yeah, I think is really attractive. And when people are just like can't do anything without the other person, of course we want to be together like all the time. Like that's not going away, but we still go to work and do our own things, and we're both very productive when we're not together. And then when we are together, we have such, if I'm going out and doing anything fun, I would prefer that she's there because I just have so much fun with her. But yeah, we are 2 separate people and we do our 2 separate things and have our own ambitions and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I love that. So that's called differentiation, right? It's where two strong individuals can come together and share their life together, right? But that doesn't mean they have to agree on everything. It doesn't mean they have to become one, meaning they can only have one opinion about things. And so it is really healthy. And it does create more passion and longevity in the marriage when you both, kind of have your individual dreams and ideas and you're interested, you stay interested in that, right? So it's like, Livy can go have her experience in the world and you can have your experience of the world. And then when you do get together, that's like more to talk about, more to draw from, more to respect about each other than just, okay, whatever you say, we'll just do that. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so number two is if they love you, they'll just know what you need. I think this affects little girls and women more than men, but I've seen it actually be very detrimental on both sides. But I think as women, we're like, oh, if we find the right person and they love us enough, they're just going to know when we're sad. They're just going to know what we need. They're just going to know how to like be our knight in shining armor. And I think that trips up a lot of couples because instead of articulating or, saying like, my birthday's coming up, it would be really cool. I would love this. I think somewhere we get tripped up and think that if we have to tell them, it's less meaningful or something. What do you guys think of that?
Mhm.
I love this one because
Me too. This is
yeah, this one's super applicable. When me and Livy were dating, one time she was like really sad or upset at me for doing something. And then she was sad and upset at me for not responding the way she would have liked. And I just felt like I have any control. Like I was like, I have no idea what to do. And I'm just, she's getting upset at me. But then she told me like, hey, I'm upset. And when I'm upset, like this is something I would love for you to do. It would mean a lot. So then the next time she was upset, she would say, hey, like I'm sad or I'm mad at this. And then I would know what to do that would make her feel better. Which, yeah, some people might call that like cheating or, like hacking the system. But then for me, anytime she would tell me she was upset, she would straight up tell me like, hey, that made me upset. And then I would know what to do to make her feel better. And then it was just so much easier. So I really like that advice. And Libby's really good at, I mean, I guess you can talk about that, but she said it's something she's been working on and it's
It
meant
definitely
a
is.
lot to me because it helps me out a ton.
Yeah, in no way am I perfect or good at this, but thinking back to like dating in high school, I was a lot worse. And I've been realizing over the years, obviously, when I'm feeling any sort of negative emotion, I can't expect Jake to just know why. So I've been working really hard. And I remember telling him we were dating or engaged that I was working on explaining when I'm upset. And not that he needs to make me feel better, but for him to know how I like him to respond when I don't like something he does or when I'm mad or upset about something that doesn't even have to do with him. It's definitely been something I'm working on, just not expecting him to know or to fix it. So when I read that chapter, I was like, oh, this is so good. All of Monica's chapters are explaining my thinking, but in actual words, which is great.
Well, that's so good and that's so healthy because if you think about it, if your partner is winning, then you're both winning, right? And so like kind of the crux or the big idea in that chapter is like what can I do to help my partner win, right? And so if you want something, if you need something, if something would be helpful to you, you just make a request. And so that's what I try to teach in that chapter, the importance of being able to communicate what you want and you need to your partner, how they can win. And then you both win. Yeah,
Yeah,
so good.
totally agree.
And I definitely learned that the hard way. When I married your dad, whew, I just thought he should just know, right? Like he should be able to read my mind, And not that I really thought that, but just somewhere I had this idea that if he loved me enough, he would figure it out. And, partners spend decades doing that, like leaving hints or giving each other the silent treatment or like walking around just thinking like you should just know. And
Mhm.
it's painful for a lot of couples. Yeah. All right. So myth number three, this is a big one. It's a big, complicated one, but it's this idea that the right person will never hurt you. And as we talked a little bit about growth can be very painful. It can be uncomfortable. And so the right person will actually challenge you to be the best version of yourself. And that does sometimes include some pain.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that me and Jake are so different and have grown up in different areas with different parents, like lots of things about him have challenged me to be better. I mean, obviously, I love Jake and I want to be better for him. But even besides that, just things about him that rub against things about me have changed me for the better, I hope. So I think that's a super cool and important idea.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't have to get too deep into that one. I think everybody has their own, but we all come with our wounds and our raw spots and the things that kind of, are difficult for us. And our spouse is going to bring that out of us. And that is the best way for us to heal. So that's a really good one. Number 4, happy couples don't fight. I'm sure you guys haven't fought very much. But the reality is that happy couples do fight.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's funny. Oh, yeah. A lot of people remember like their first big fight and they'll share that story. They're like, oh, yeah, this after we got married, this is our first big fight. And when we were like dating and engaged, it's not like we fought a lot, but we definitely did have our little like things we would disagree about. But I felt like the way we'd handle those was very good. Though we definitely had a couple of, I was thinking back, I was like, I don't really remember which one was our first. I know that we've had a couple, but they haven't obviously held their ground. But I feel like the way we've has been really good. Another thing, helpful advice that we got was like debunking the advice, like don't sweat the little things. Helpful advice that we got was even on the little things, discuss them because the little things become big things. So not that they're fights, but just like little either disagreements or little tweaks that you can make to the way you do things. Sharing those and why they rub the wrong way has been super helpful to not drop any like super big unnecessary fights, because I definitely think there are fights that are bigger and necessary because they are like a bigger topic, but like don't make little things become those big things for no reason. Save the big fights for the big fights and keep the little ones small by communicating more frequently on those. It's something we learned before we got married, and we've tried to use that as best we can. I think that we've done a really good job of that, which minimizes the big fights, which has been awesome.
I just remembered this kind of has to do with your first question about bad advice I got, but I remember we started dating a little bit after my sister got married, and when Kate and Will were engaged and dating, I remember I have a lot of nosy uncles. They'd be like, so have you guys fought yet? And Kate was like, nope, I can't imagine us ever fighting. And the other week we were chatting with them and Kate was like, oh yeah, I remember saying that. They've been married a year now. And she was like, oh yeah, we fight all the time. But she thought it was really funny that she thought they would never fight. But around the same time, Kate and Will had been married a while and we're realizing that it's normal to fight. My uncles were talking with us about it, and Kate was like, oh yeah, no, we do fight sometimes. And my uncle was like, what about you and Jake, Livvy? Have you guys fought? And I was like, what? Yeah, we fought like since we started dating. They were like, not necessarily telling me that was bad or giving me advice on it, but like just the way they looked at me, I was like, oh, I don't feel like that's necessarily bad. Like obviously we're gonna have disagreements, but I think shade is definitely thrown on that. Maybe not necessarily formed out in words as advice that we should never fight, but
kind of frowned upon.
Or
like a sign of a bad relationship.
Right. So I definitely got that a couple times, but I never felt like it was bad. I liked learning how to communicate better with Jake when I or he didn't like something. And from the very beginning, we've had disagreements, which apparently Kate and Will did not, but for us.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember
start.
this, Jake, but when you guys were together for such a short period of time, and I was like, have you guys disagreed or fought about anything yet? Do you remember that?
Yeah, can't remember what I said, but I remember you asking me that.
You did. And I said, how did it go? And you said that both of you kind of stood your ground and then you talked about it. And I was like, okay. Because I don't think that people should get married until they've had at least one big disagreement and they see how they handle, seeing eye to eye, not being completely validated, like not knowing where the other person stands on an issue. So I thought that was very healthy. So, even though you guys like dating engaged really quickly, I was like, let's just make sure that we've had a disagreement, guys.
Yeah, we definitely have those.
We agree on a lot of things, but there are still a good amount where we don't see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. What's important is how you repair and how you care about each other and respect your differences, because They're there. That's awesome. And then myth number 5 is don't sweat the small stuff. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Look at you, already ahead.
I must have been reading your book or something.
yeah, maybe. Well, that's awesome, you guys. That was so fun. That was so fun to talk about the first 5 myths, like to kind of see how they've kind of come about in, your very short experience, but good experience. So, my next question is, what advice would you give newlyweds who are, kind of considering marriage? They're kind of at that place. What would you tell them?
I think I would tell them to read a book that my mother-in-law wrote about happy marriages.
I did not even tell you to say that. But I love that you did.
I don't know if I'm in a place to give good advice, but I think a lot of those principles that are in the book are really good. Literally, one of my favorite things that we did, and I talked about it earlier, was read and learn together. Because personally, I think that was something important to me, was knowing the importance of learning and growing. And if that person was willing to learn and grow with me, even knowing that it would be hard. And so reading those books together, I got a sense of how Livvy understands information, processes information, and then how she views that information. So that was something that I would recommend. I would recommend even a couple books, but even more important than the specific books, learning stuff together. Go experience something together. Go or like have certain discussions about certain things, or go play sports together. Even if both of you suck at sports, or if both of you are really good at sports, just intentionally do stuff together. That's going to draw out certain sides so that you get to see that side. Obviously, you're not going to see all of those sides no matter how long you date for, but just intentionally try to see all of those sides and grow with the other person in any way you possibly can. Set goals, do whatever. That would be my advice. Just go experience stuff and see how the other person experiences it. And if you like experiencing stuff with that person, I want to experience the whole world with Livvy. Like, we want to travel, we want to have a lot of kids, we want to learn new things, like read, but also experience stuff in the world. And I love doing that type of stuff with her. So yeah, that's something I would recommend.
Would recommend. Yeah, that's a hard question to answer. But what I love about my relationship with Jake is that the top 3 to 5 things that are most important to me and that are the top on my priority list are also the top of Jake's, which makes it super fulfilling when we work together towards our spiritual goals, towards our family goals. And then, of course, there's lots of things that Jake cares a lot about that I don't want to say don't care about, but wouldn't care about if it weren't for Jake. And it's fun to start caring about random things that are important to Jake just because they're important to him, and vice versa. I noticed when we were dating that Jake would spend a lot of time learning about the things that I liked just because I liked them, which was really meaningful. So priority lists that are fairly similar, I think, is super beneficial.
Oh, you guys, this has been so much fun. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope that everybody listening has enjoyed it. Probably not quite as much as I have, but it's been so cool to be your mom, Jake. I mean, I remember putting you to bed when you were like 4 years old, and you were like, "What do you think my wife is doing right now?" And it was fun to imagine that she was probably getting ready for bed and being tucked in by her mom, just like you were. And just throughout your life, I've always known that you were excited to be a husband, that you were going to be a fantastic husband and father. And it's really, really cool to get to see you do that. So I think you're both so lucky. And I am so grateful to just kind of be a spectator, get to watch you guys do this. Like that, it feels like such a reward as a parent to get to see your kids, like, just making their own way and making their own family and,